that he was a vampire. Once the man showed up, several women paid attention to him, but Ariana felt nothing. The man couldn't attract her, because her heart was already occupied by Henry. The foreign man also noticed Ariana, so he walked towards her. Among all the women who were looking at him, she was the most beautiful one. There was still some time until his flight departed, so he decided to chat with someone to kill the time. Ariana sat there alone, so he chose her. When Ariana saw the foreign man walking towards her, she sent Henry a message at once. She told him that she saw a vampire and that he might want to strike up a conversation with her. She needed to learn more about him, so Henry should wait 10 minutes until coming back. Whether the vampire had a purpose or not, Ariana had to be careful. The man asked Ariana very gently. He spoke in English, but not fluently. Sure, Ariana replied, then gestured to the seat across from her. The man smiled in satisfaction. Then he sat across from her and said politely, "Beautiful young lady, whatever you want to drink, I can pay the bill for you." "Thanks, but there's no need," Ariana replied. "Fine," the man shrugged and didn't insist. Then he asked, "May I ask your name?" Ariana didn't answer, but asked him instead. "Can I ask yours?" "My name is Idris," the man said. "Is that your real name or fake name?" "Many men try to use a fake name to fool me," Ariana doubted. "It's my real name. If you don't believe it, I can let you look at my plane ticket," Idris insisted. Then he held out his plane ticket to Ariana. The name on the ticket was indeed Idris, and surprisingly, he was on the same flight to the Bahamas that Ariana and Henry would take. Ariana couldn't help but wonder if it was a coincidence or a scheme. If the man was just an ordinary man, she wouldn't have that worry, but he wasn't. "Now, may I know your name?" asked Idris. "My name is Ariana," Ariana answered. She didn't lie, but paid special attention to the man's reaction when she said her name. When Idris heard her name, he reacted normally. "It's a beautiful name. Where are you going? Are you alone?" he asked. "We'll be on the same plane. Actually, my seat is behind you," Ariana replied. "Oh, I have good luck today. It's a long journey, but I think we can chat to kill time along the way," Idris said happily. My husband is with me, so I don't think he'll like that," Ariana replied with a smile. Idris was surprised. He didn't expect Ariana to be married. "What? That's so disappointing," he sighed. "Oh, my husband is coming back. Idris, you can sit here, but I need to go to sit with him," Ariana said. The moment she finished speaking, she stood up and went to sit down somewhere else. Since Ariana said that, Idris said nothing further. He could only shrug again. Although he came to chat with Ariana because she was beautiful, he had no bad intentions. He simply felt that she was good-looking and wanted to kill some time by chatting with her. Therefore, he didn't think it was a big deal that she already had a husband. Right after Ariana sat down, Henry got back. When Idris saw him, he was stunned, because he didn't expect Ariana's husband to be so handsome. He couldn't see that Henry was actually an immortal, but he clearly sensed that he was a powerful man. They waited for about 20 minutes before the gate for boarding opened. On their way to board, Ariana told Henry about her conversation with Idris. When they were in the lounge earlier, they were too close to him, so it wasn't convenient for her to talk to him then. "He's taking the same plane as us, and his seat is right in front of us. Although I can't see anything wrong, we still need to be careful," Ariana whispered. "Right, he isn't an ordinary man. We might not be able to see what's wrong with him if he's good at disguising his motives," Henry agreed. After they were aboard, Idris saw Ariana and Henry sitting behind him, but he didn't say hi to Ariana because she had already told him that she was married. There was no grudge between them, and he didn't need to hurt her. However, he complained to himself that her husband seemed cold and jealous. How did she fall in love with that man? Was it just because he was handsome, or was he rich? Idris wondered. However, after the plane took off, Idris noticed Henry taking great care of Ariana, so he had a new idea. Ariana must have fallen in love with her husband because he treated her very well. After the overnight flight, the plane landed in the Bahamas at 6:50 a.m. As Ariana and Henry got off the plane, they deliberately walked behind refreshed. She couldn't help but open her arms to feel the sea breeze blowing past. Just as she spread out her arms, Henry hugged her from behind and asked her, "Do you want to eat something or rest first?" "I'm not hungry. I'll eat later. I'm not tired either, so I don't need to rest," Ariana replied. She was eager to go to the sea to catch seafood. "If you're neither hungry nor tired, let's do something first," Henry suddenly said with a wide smile. "What?" Ariana asked innocently. "Well, it's something we both love," Henry chuckled, then directly picked Ariana up and carried her upstairs to the bedroom. Ariana didn't struggle, but she laughed and caressed Henry's cheek. "Is this all that's on your mind?" she teased. "Don't you want to?" Henry asked. "Of course I do," Ariana replied honestly. Over the past 2 years, the two of them had gotten even bolder in bed. Henry could never say no to her. Although they had been together for 3 years, he still couldn't get enough of Ariana. Even if she did nothing special, he wanted her badly. So the moment she did anything seductive, he was aroused with a burning desire. "You seductive little girl, let me teach you a lesson in bed," Henry moaned, his tone full of desire. His voice became hoarse, and he breathed heavily. Without delay, he sped up. The moment they were in the bedroom, he threw Ariana onto the bed, and then pressed her against it. Before long, both of them were undressed. They didn't go downstairs again until 11 o'clock a.m. When they were in the kitchen, Henry asked, "What do you want to eat?" The fridge was stocked with food, since Henry had asked his friend to prepare ingredients for them. Ariana wanted to catch seafood by herself, however, so Henry didn't tell his friend to prepare any seafood for them. "I'll cook up some vegetables and rice. You can go catch some shrimp and fish. We don't need too many, just catch enough for a meal. I'll go and catch some more this afternoon," Ariana replied. "All right," Henry agreed. "Wait a second. We should let the sea monsters stay in the ocean these next few days," Ariana suggested. Saying that, she let Ivory out, and Henry put her into his infinite pouch. Sea monsters lived in the ocean, so Ariana decided to let them swim freely since they were here now. During the past 2 years, both Ivory and Flint had strengthened their powers significantly, as did Ariana and Henry. Currently, Henry had reached the peak of the yin-yang period, while Ariana was at the peak of the golden core stage. She also learned to fly with a sword, but wasn't very good yet. However, Henry was very skilled at it by now. Because this was a luxurious resort, the beach was private, and there weren't many people around. A few couples were ambling on the beach, but they weren't nearby, so it was convenient for Henry to dive into the sea to catch fish. About 10 minutes later, he came back to shore with 3 pounds of prawns, 2 big crabs, and 2 pounds of fish. He was only out for 10 minutes, but he actually went deep into the ocean. There weren't many good fish in the shallow areas, so he dove deep. And of course, he didn't need any equipment, because he had special abilities. Nobody saw him go into the ocean, but some people who were walking along the beach saw him come out. Diving for seafood wasn't prohibited here, but fishing in large quantities wasn't allowed. Therefore, the people who saw him take out a big net of seafood from the sea didn't accuse him of illegal fishing, but they were surprised that he could capture so many things from the sea without any equipment. One of the men stepped forward and asked, "Excuse me, did you fish in the sea like this, without any equipment?" "Yes," Henry answered, then left without another word. When the men heard Henry's answer, they were extremely surprised. They couldn't believe that he could catch sea animals just with his hands. "Wow, that's amazing. He caught the seafood with his hands," one man complimented. "Right, and I can see that the seafood he caught is of good quality. I don't think those fish even live in the shallow areas," another man remarked. "Do you mean he went deep into the ocean? He must have held his breath for a long time," exclaimed the first man. None of them could believe it. When Henry got back, Ariana was watching TV in the living room. When she saw him, she ran towards him to see what he caught. After seeing what was in the net, Ariana was excited. "Wow, these prawns and crabs are so big," she exclaimed. "The water here is clean and nutritious, so the sea animals grow large. I saw many precious sea animals in the ocean, but you said that you want to catch some this afternoon, so I just caught enough for a single meal, Henry explained. Great, now you can go cook. Boil half the prawns and steam the other half with minced garlic. As for crabs, I want to eat spicy fried crabs. The fish can simply be steamed, Ariana said. She had no intention of doing anything and left all the work to Henry. Anyway, even if she wanted to do it, Henry wouldn't let her. No problem. You can wait for a while and watch TV, Henry said. Thanks, Ariana smiled, then gave Henry a kiss before he went to cook. Before long, Henry finished preparing the seafood, and the rice and vegetables Ariana had made were ready as well, so they could immediately eat. After having the meal, Henry washed all the dishes, while Ariana went upstairs to change. She usually dressed very professionally, but they were on vacation by the sea now, so she put on a long white sundress. She also tied her hair into a messy but beautiful bun. It was hot, so it would be uncomfortable if she kept her hair down. When Ariana walked downstairs, Henry had cleaned everything up. After a glance at her, he frowned. What? Ariana asked, confused. She thought the dress looked beautiful on her, and she didn't show much skin. Henry pulled her into his arms and said in a grumpy tone, You're too beautiful. I'm afraid that men won't be able to keep their eyes off you. Ariana snorted with laughter, then joked, Men can't keep their eyes off me no matter what I wear, unless I wrap my face up, but that's too uncomfortable. I don't want to do that. You're right. You're too pretty to be ignored. I don't want you to wrap your face up either, Henry said. Come on, I think you are more attractive than me. I should be worried instead of you, Ariana replied, pretending to be displeased. Hearing that, Henry was amused and asked, Do I need to put on a mask and sunglasses? Ariana shook her head. No, I'm not as jealous as you. Just let them admire you. It doesn't matter, because they can't have you, she boasted. Of course, I only belong to you, Henry replied with a smile. Afterwards, they walked out hand in hand. At this time, many people had finished eating and were taking a walk outside, so there were more people on the beach than there were before. Many people paid special attention to Henry and Ariana when they saw them and complimented them, but because they were a couple, no one dared to strike up a flirty conversation with either of them. What do you want to do? Do you want to sail a yacht? Henry asked Ariana. Sure, why not? We can catch seafood further out in the ocean, she agreed. Okay, just give me a minute. I need to call my friend to make the arrangements, Henry replied. No problem, Ariana acknowledged. Henry took out his phone and called his friend. About 10 minutes later, a yacht appeared in front of them. The sailor left the yacht and handed the key to Henry before walking away. Ariana and Henry got on and sailed out. Although they were unfamiliar with the waters, it wasn't a problem for them. The yacht sped ahead. They didn't have a destination, so they just followed their whims. There were other yachts around them too. At first, no one seemed to pay attention to them, but as they sailed farther out to sea, they noticed 2 yachts were following them. Ariana slightly frowned and immediately used her jade eyes to check who they were. Each yacht had 2 men and 2 women in their 20s on them. It seemed that they were all part of the same friend group, because the 2 yachts stayed near each other. Normally, people don't dare to go this far out on the ocean, because they might get lost, but they seem to be willing to take the risk after seeing us, Henry remarked with a frown. We should get rid of them, Ariana stated. She didn't want to be interrupted. All right, Henry agreed as he sped up. Although they immediately pulled farther away, their speed was limited, and the 2 yachts sped up as well, so they were unable to get rid of them. Fine, just let them follow us, as long as they don't bother us, Ariana shrugged. Since they couldn't get rid of the 2 yachts, they gave up. Besides, the ocean wasn't owned by them, so they couldn't stop other people from sailing around. Because Ariana gave up the idea of getting away from the 2 yachts, the 2 yachts quickly caught up to them. When one yacht was only 10 feet away from them, the man who was sailing it shouted at them, Hey, why did you go so far out on the ocean? Aren't you scared? He didn't seem like he came to cause trouble, so Ariana replied, There is nothing to be afraid of. When Ariana turned around to talk to them, The men on the yacht were stunned. What a beautiful girl. The women on the yacht looked a little jealous, but the men had no bad intentions. They just liked beautiful women. The two men on the other yacht might have a different idea, but they hadn't had a chance to see Ariana's face yet. Normally, people don't dare to go this far out, in case they get lost. If the yacht runs out of fuel, you'll be in trouble, the man said, then added, "We have some extra fuel just in case, but we still were worried. But you guys dared to go this far, so we followed you. I have no right to stop you from doing that, but don't blame us if anything happens to you. We don't bear the consequences of your decision," Ariana reminded them. She didn't want to be burdened by them. "Of course not. We came here on our own," the man replied. Ariana said nothing further. Since it seemed they just wanted to take an adventure, she couldn't judge them. The two other yachts continued to follow Ariana and Henry's yacht. After a long time, they saw a small island before them. At that moment, the man opened his mouth again. "Hey, there's a small island ahead. Why don't we go over and have a rest? We can dive into the sea to catch some seafood and hang out together," he called out. "We have that plan too, but we should do it separately," Ariana rejected. It was already very nice of her to allow them to follow them, but she didn't want them to bother her and Henry. "Fine," the man shrugged. He wasn't mad. They were strangers, so he could understand Ariana's reaction. The two girls, however, were rather displeased. One of them quietly complained, "That girl is so arrogant." "Right, she should be honored that Jabari is willing to talk to her," the other girl agreed, showing obvious jealousy. "Shut up, I don't think she's arrogant. On the other hand, you two are bad enough to her and jealousy." Jabari snapped at them with displeasure. Then he threatened, "If you dare to insult her again, I'll throw you two out." The two girls were frightened when they heard his threat. They didn't dare to say anything further, because they clearly knew that Jabari would do what he said. Ariana and Henry's yacht reached the small island first, then they got off. The other two yachts arrived a while later. The two men on the other yacht didn't see Ariana's face until they reached the island, so they were both amazed by her beauty. However, they weren't like the men on the other yacht who had no bad intentions. They immediately wanted to do bad things when they saw Ariana. Both Ariana and Henry could sense the two men's bad intentions, but they couldn't do anything before the men made their move. However, if they dared to hurt Ariana, Henry would definitely teach them a lesson. "Can I ask where you guys are from?" Jabari asked kindly. Since he was polite, Henry and Ariana decided to be polite too. "Los Angeles," answered Henry. "Oh, you're from the United States. How brave. Well, we wouldn't dare to come so far out on the ocean without your guidance," Jabari exclaimed. He admired Ariana and Henry. "By the way, what should I call you?" "My name is Jabari," he added. The other people were confused when Jabari was so polite to Ariana and Henry. Jabari was always arrogant, and he was rarely so friendly to strangers. Honestly, he was seldom even nice to them. Although Jabari didn't know Ariana and Henry, he could see that they must be powerful from their demeanor, so he treated them differently. In other words, he had different attitudes towards different people. "My name is Henry Ortiz, and this is my wife," Henry answered. He introduced Ariana as his wife, but he didn't say her name. The others were slightly surprised to hear his introduction. They thought that they were just a couple, but unexpectedly, they were already married. The two men from the second yacht, however, still held their evil intention. Once they wanted a girl, they didn't care about whether she was married or who she was. They only wanted women to satisfy their desires and had no affection for them. They had no interest in serious relationships because they clearly knew women only wanted their money and influence. "Sorry, but we better get going now," Henry said. Then he walked away, holding Ariana's The two men were still displeased and wanted to complain about it. One of them started to say, "Jabari, they..." However, Jabari interrupted. "What were you thinking? Was I not clear enough? It's their freedom and right to choose what they want to do. You have no right to interfere. You said that they embarrassed you, but did you care about their feelings?" The two men were struck dumb and no longer said anything. Although they knew Jabari was right, they still felt reluctant to admit they were wrong. They were mostly so displeased because they disliked Henry's arrogant attitude. Anyway, they didn't say anything further. Jabari snapped at them, so they were annoyed, but they didn't dare to vent their anger at him. Afterwards, Jabari and his friends ambled around on the island and decided to go exploring for a while. They were from wealthy families, but they loved adventures, so they were happy to hike on the jungle-like paths of the island. They had never been to this island before, because although they loved adventure, the ocean was so vast, and they were afraid of getting lost, so they didn't dare to come here without a guide. This island wasn't very large, but it would still take a day to walk from one end to the other. Jabari and his friends wouldn't walk all the way across the island, but they walked through the jungle to see if they could find anything interesting. As they walked further away from their yachts, the men weren't scared, but the girls were nervous. "How long do we need to walk?" one girl asked. Her name was Tiana. "Until we lose interest," Jabari replied. He didn't know how long he would walk for, but he would stop when he didn't want to continue. "If any of you don't want to go on, you can return on your own," he added. Hearing that, Tiana instinctively exchanged a glance with the other girls, silently asking them whether they wanted to return. Nobody seemed eager to go back, probably because the boys would make fun of them for being too weak. At that moment, one of the men who had the intention to hurt Ariana said, "I can walk you back, Tiana. I don't want to go ahead any longer either." Tiana's eyes lit up at once, and she immediately thanked the man. "Thank you so much, Silas," she said. After that, Silas walked Tiana back, and nobody stopped them. Nevertheless, Jabari and the other men were aware that Silas didn't offer to walk Tiana back because he didn't want to go further. He wasn't that nice. On the contrary, he only wanted to get intimate. That was Silas's trick, so the other men wouldn't get involved. Among the 4 men and 4 girls, there weren't any couples, but many of them had the desire to get together with another person in their friend group. The men wanted to only get physical, and the women wanted to have a relationship with those rich men. All of them had their own purpose, but so far, nothing had happened yet, and they hadn't done anything either. However, Tiana was interested in getting together with Silas, which was why she was happy he offered to walk her back to the yacht in private. As Silas took Tiana back, he suddenly stopped and tucked her hair behind her ear. "You look really hot today, Tiana," he said seductively. Tiana wasn't sure what Silas wanted, so she asked, "What are you doing?" "Come on, Tiana. I see the way you look at me. Don't you want to hook up with me? Now I can give you a chance. What do you think?" Silas asked. He clearly knew that these girls only wanted to be close to him because of his money, but he didn't care about that right now. He only had one thing on his mind. He planned to be in a physical relationship with Tiana for a while, then he would dump her. "You mean, you want me to be your girlfriend?" Tiana asked. Silas shrugged. "No, not my girlfriend. I just really want you right now," he moaned, pulling her close to him. Tiana hesitated. To be honest, all she cared about was money and expensive gifts. She didn't mind selling her body for money, but if she didn't get anything in return, she wouldn't do it. At this time, Silas let her go and said, "I won't force you. You should know I have plenty of girls, but I don't get intimate with all of them. You should be flattered that I would choose you. To be honest with you, I won't fall in love with anybody. Eventually, I'll marry a woman who is chosen by my family. You can never be my wife, but I can give you bags, expensive clothes, and other luxuries if you're my mistress. You can live a luxurious life when you're with me." Tiana wasn't surprised to hear Silas say that, because she had always known that it was the case. She could only get money from him, and it was impossible for her to gain his love. Thus, she was persuaded when Silas said that she could get any luxuries that she wanted, while he kept her as his mistress. She wanted to accept his offer, but felt that it was very humiliating to give in right away. Even though she decided to sell her body for money, She still wanted to keep a good reputation. If you don't agree, I'll leave right now, Silas threatened, since Tiana was taking too long to decide. He wouldn't force her to accept, but that was also his trick. He was sure that she wouldn't refuse. Tiana honestly didn't want to miss this chance, so she agreed after hesitating for a moment. "All right," she replied. Silas showed satisfaction when Tiana agreed. Then he hugged her again. "If we do it right..."
You crazy? You still wasting your time playing mobile games that bring you zero value? Man, make sure you switch to Solitaire Cash so you can win you some real money. Master players are the same skill level, so it's 100% fair. You cash out fast and easy. And it's free to download. What else do you need? Treat yourself to a good game of Solitaire and start going after that cash, baby. Download now.
"Here, right now. Would you like that?" he asked. "Right here? I don't think that's a good idea," Tiana responded, feeling slightly surprised. If anyone caught them, it would be humiliating. Plus, she had never done such a thing in such a wild place before. "It'll be exciting, don't you think?" Silas said, then assured her, "No one will see us." Tiana hesitated for a while, but she understood that she had to satisfy Silas's needs if she wanted to be his mistress. Otherwise, he would change his mind once he was mad. Thinking of that, she agreed. After that, they got intimate on the desert island. At first, Tiana had all kinds of worries, but she soon devoted herself to it after some time. Silas was an expert. He could easily make a woman lose control. However, while they were enjoying, they didn't notice that a giant python was approaching. Silas didn't turn around until the python slithered onto his body and put a lot of weight on him. The moment he saw the giant snake clearly, he was so scared that he almost passed out. "Ah!" he screamed and immediately got up from Tiana's body. He pushed the giant python off of him and then quickly ran away. When Tiana heard Silas's scream, she opened her eyes and saw the giant python as well. The next moment, she screamed too and tried to escape. Unfortunately, the python landed on Tiana after Silas pushed it off of him. Tiana wasn't strong enough to get rid of it. The snake even wrapped itself around her when she struggled. "Silas, help!" she shouted to Silas, who was running away. But he didn't even turn around to give her a glance. He was afraid that the giant python would attack him. Ariana and Henry weren't too far away, so they heard Silas's and Tiana's screams. Although they agreed not to bother each other, they went onto the island together, so they felt it was necessary for them to help the group of people if they were in danger. Therefore, as soon as they heard the screams, they ran over. Within 10 seconds, Ariana